Hello, everyone. Welcome to the monthly witness chat in the REM and streamed on Vim TV and Facebook, and this time bridged over to Steam chat. I'd like to welcome the team from Steam It Inc. Eli Powell and Justin is with us today. Andrarchy may be joining us a little later. Welcome, Eli.
Thank you. How's it going? It feels like longer than a month since we last spoke here.
It's actually 2 days less than a month.
Well, time is flying. That's all I know. I cannot believe it's almost summertime. So anyway, we are super excited and always glad to be here with this great group of people, including yourself.
What's been happening?
Oh, not much. Just kidding. A lot of good stuff. Yeah, we had a really good engineering stand-up this morning. It's hump day. We've had a lot of things going on. I felt like the team seemed a little sleepy today. So we've got some exciting things happening this afternoon. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but be sure steemit.com, the @steemit blog, Andrarchy will be posting some cool things today. So Justin is here. He can give the update on Mira in a bit.
Now you can give us a little hint since people are actually here on the spot, because this recording won't actually get up until after he's done his thing, although they could be listening on stream.
Exactly. Well, I don't want to ruin this. They're just some subtle little changes that are exciting. Will happen today on steemit.com. Again, very subtle but fun to show, where we are making a lot of as community pull requests. Mira has been running for over a week now, which is super exciting. Again, Justin can talk more about that program. I have an update for that as well. So if we want to, we can structure it in a way. Usually we'll start with an engineering update. I have Andrew here for just a little bit that can update you on some fun communications things he's been working on. And then I could wrap it up with David as well on advertising, because we have some new features and things happening on that side of things. So then go ahead.
Is Andrew with us? Andrarchy's not with us yet, is he?
I see him and David are online.
Yeah, I see them online, but I don't see them here in the channel.
Okay, I'll Slack him a message really quick.
Yeah, Justin's here in the channel.
So, Justin, do you want to talk a little bit about what's been going on with your team?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to do that. So, obviously, one of the biggest things is Mira right now, which I'm happy to announce has been running live in production, empowering steemit.com for about 10 days now, solid, without any issues. That's excellent news. And we're running that with a minimal amount of RAM on our mostly full nodes with most of the plugins, which is really super exciting. And we're gearing up for a public release of that. It'll still be optional, of course, especially when we first roll out, and especially since we're about to do another hard fork. Don't want to introduce any other changes to potentially exchanges. If too many changes at once isn't always a great idea, but it is about to be ready for anyone to start using and testing. We're kind of dog fooding it ourselves right now, was the plan. That's the soft rollout tactic. As far as replay times, I know that was a big topic on our post last week. We had been working on that. That was one of the final touches. And came up with kind of a hybrid solution where if you have more RAM available, you can choose to use that and attain a reindex that's similar to non-Mira performance, but it's certainly optional. So you could use commodity hardware with a low amount of RAM, and your replay may take a little bit longer. In my experience, though, for really lower end hardware, reindexing with Mira is actually faster. For example, with network attached storage, um, like in AWS terms, EBS volumes, like disk that's not physically attached, on reindexing with that type of equipment actually seems to be quite a bit faster with Mira without using the hybrid approach. And I think a lot of nodes out there are using that type of equipment, and don't have physically attached drives. So that's really great. That's improved quite a bit too.
So Mira is going to be a substantial savings for the witnesses once it's up and running.
I would say so. Yes. Absolutely.
Because I've noticed that we've had some fairly community active witnesses shut down their witness, and while they haven't stated it, I'm assuming it's been cost induced.
Yeah, I'm sure with the rollout of Mira, it'd be likely that we'll see more and more witnesses rather than less, since it'll cost much less to actually to run one.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see some of them back. Would be a good morale boost for the platform.
Absolutely.
So, Mira, and what's next after Mira?
So I think we all know that the answer to that question is, of course, SMTs. On to SMTs. I think that's what everyone wants to hear, and that's what we want to dig into too. The good news is that a large portion of SMTs, about 1/3, was already completed last year. So we can certainly pick up work where that left off. Everything's already been scoped out for it. And we have a well-defined path for SMTs. So that's great to get in. There was some remaining work to be done with the Steam DAO hard fork that we did have to pick up a little bit on this week, as far as reorganizing some things in terms of APIs within Steam. But looks like that's coming to a close too, and we should have something that we can propose very, very soon, hopefully by the end of this week or the beginning of next.
So that was a question I was going to circle back to, is the hard fork that you mentioned. What's going to be involved in that? Is that just for the DAO?
Right. That's at this point. That's just for the DAO. Unless there's any last minute other changes. There are some minor kind of I call them quality of life improvements, like things that are non-contentious that nobody would disagree that we would want to have. Like there is one thing that it seems like we have pretty great support in changing this, was being able to change your public profile settings with just a posting key instead of an active key. That seems to be something that everyone generally agrees with. So that'll be one small feature that's added in there. But certainly no other major changes. This really is focused on just the Steam DAO for the most part.
So, and these are famous last words, there's no reason for us to expect it to be anything but a almost unnoticed transition.
So I know Block Trades had set up a test net, and I'm not sure the extent of the testing of their code on that test net by the witnesses and other community members. We're certainly planning on setting up a test net ourselves as well, as soon as we release the code and make it final. And it's my hope that other, especially witnesses, will get in there and start testing with it too. So if there are any problems, hopefully we identify it before it rolls out.
So how long do you expect to run the testnet?
Well, we can run the testnet all the way up until the hard fork date.
Right.
There's absolutely no problem in doing that. I would certainly prefer, if we have more time, to identify any bugs before we have to back out of it, because we really would like to give exchanges like as much notice as possible so that they have time to upgrade. but we're coming close to time at this point. I don't want to delay this process any further because it really would be great to move on to SMTs.
Yeah, I think the community would like to see that type of action too. So with the steam engine that has started up and now the ScottBot, is there going to be any overlap between the two, or are they going to be totally two separate operations?
So it sounds, my apologies for not knowing more about Steam Engine and ScottBot. But I'd heard mention on some of their posts that their plan was to allow people to convert those over to SMTs at some point when those are available. But I don't really know how that works or how they have that planned.
Yeah. My understanding is that the way they constructed the steam engine was following the white paper for the SMTs.
Yeah, so it's certainly a similar-ish product for sure. So I think there is some overlap there for sure.
Jack's got a question here. Has our elected governance, the top 20 witnesses, come to a consensus on how the DAO shall be funded?
So I can help answer that. I believe BlockTrades had said publicly that since when they started coding this, that they hadn't come to a consensus of how it would be funded. They decided not to code in any way to fund it. So it only works by taking donations at this point. I don't know if that's optimal, but it sounds like that's what they had decided on. So at this initial rollout, it only works by taking donations.
And it can be altered at pretty well any time, I take it.
It'd require another hard fork.
Would it?
It would, yeah. And hard forks do have a cost. And that cost is that we have to get exchanges to upgrade. And all other node operators too, but especially the exchanges. So the fewer hard forks we can do, the less we inconvenience them. Because, a lot of these exchanges, it's not just Steam that they're supporting. Some are supporting hundreds or thousands of other coins. So it's certainly a burden.
So while it's wonderful to get on all these exchanges, that's something that has to be increasingly taken into account when you think about something like a hard fork.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so that sounds like we got some interesting stuff coming up. I know people are certainly looking to see what's going to happen as far as SMTs go. Just taking a look at chat here. I see Gandalf made a comment in regards to our conversation about the witnesses that have stopped and them possibly coming back. And his thought was, no, would like to see some guys who believe in success rather than those who come back after running away because of temporary costs or earnings. Yeah, there's a bit of a point there. All right. Thank you, Justin. Eli, you wanted Andarchy to have something to say there next?
Yeah, I think it was actually you that brought the flip side, the FCAS or FCAS, however they're saying the ratings that are cap. I think you brought that to my attention and how we had a pretty low score of a C, which we're still there, but it is going to improve. So we reached out to Flipside.
I think that was actually Pensive.
Oh, was it Pensive? My bad.
That's okay.
Well, why
so
not?
You reached out to Flipside.
We did. We reached out to Flipside that day and got a response. They were very familiar with Steemit and Steam. Understand was the level of activity that we have. They weren't aware of all the developer activity. They weren't taking into consideration GitHub or all of our dApps. So we began a relationship with them. You see our score improve, I guess it'll be next week. But beyond that, Andrew, as well as Justin, we're working on integrating through a partnership with them, but Andrew had the pleasure of interviewing the CEO last week. So I wanted him to briefly talk about that. And then he's got a couple of other communications things if he wants to talk about, then I welcome that as well. So, Andrarchy, what have you been up to?
He might want to unmute himself first.
You guys hear me?
Yep, we can.
Huh?
I can hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm sorry. My machine's always been buggy with Discord. Hey, we've got a number of communications coming out soon. One of those will be my interview with Dave Balter from Flipside Crypto. We've been working to integrate Steem blockchain data into their backend infrastructure, which should impact some significant metrics of theirs. It was a great conversation. They're really interested in Steem. They offer services to blockchain applications that are trying to measure their business and the success of their business. So they're extremely eager to work with this community and help application developers gain better insights into how their applications are generating revenue. And so that should be coming out sometime next week. We've got some pretty exciting announcements coming out over the next couple of days. I'll also be releasing the next episode of the Steem It podcast probably tomorrow. Will be an interview with Eric Johnson, who is the creator of something called Cash the Game, which won ETH Denver. And we talk about why they're moving to Steem. So I think that's a really interesting and exciting update. So a number of other initiatives that will probably be executed through the Steem.marketing account. So if people aren't already following that account, or when it comes to marketing related efforts, that's the account to follow. Hopefully a lot more stuff coming out through that channel. And if anybody's interested in helping with marketing efforts, feel free to reach out to me at andrarchy@steemit.com.
So was Steem It Inc. or Steem Marketing involved with this integration with the Snacks? Or is that a separate operation going on?
I believe, actually, Eli, as far as technical assistance, I do not believe we did any technical assistance with them. I think they just wanted to integrate with Steem all on their own. Other relationships, Eli or Dave could speak to that. I don't know if we had an ad deal with them.
Are you talking about Snacks? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, Snacks.
Yeah, they did some advertising with us, and yeah, that was all on their end. We didn't do anything to form that partnership. They did run some ads. I'm not sure if those have. Are you still on here? You can update if you have an update on that.
Justin still there? He may have left us.
He may have left, but yeah, they ran.
He may be
ads.
fake newsing us.
Check really quick.
Okay. Yeah, because I see Guilty's got a comment there about asking about the range of technical assistance available to projects from Steem It Inc. And Justin may be the one that needs to answer that.
And I can answer it. Oh, you're still there. You handle it, Justin.
Yeah, I'm still. I thought you were looking for David on an upgrade with that. So we're more than happy to try to provide any technical assistance that we can to any projects. There are some outlets for that. Snacks is not one that, as far as I know, had reached out to us for any technical assistance. I didn't hear about that project until they had started advertising with us. But I've also seen since then, about the same time they started advertising with us, they've started advertising elsewhere in the cryptocurrency space. So it is a relatively popular up and coming project right now. But yeah, our team is not involved in that product in any way.
So if a project was looking for some technical assistance, what would be the range available from Steemit Inc.?
That depends on what they need. I mean, we're happy to help answer any questions that we can, as it comes.
So there's no particular examples of the type of thing that they would come to you as opposed to, say, some of the witnesses or a developer.
I think we'd have to get more specific with an example, to be honest.
There's no formal structure to it. What it comes down to is a return on engineering time. So with Flipside Crypto, they came to us and Justin spoke to their their CTO, and their CTO provided us with what they needed from us. And from our conversations, it became clear that they actually had a very good operation and they had most of the pieces already in place. The total amount of work was just a few hours to get our data feeding into their score. And we have a reasonable expectation that if their score was informed by better data, that it would be positively impacted. So in that scenario, it made perfect sense for us to allocate a few hours of engineering time to that. With our engineers' time, because their time is allocated to projects that lots of people believe that we should remain focused on. So it's all a question of distracting engineers who are focusing on the Steem Worker Proposal System, SMTs, HiveMind, Steemit.com improvements. Do we take somebody off of what they're working on and allocate it to this other project? It has to be a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, it makes sense. And we don't know, we've got a lot of creativity going on in this platform, and to try to put too many parameters on it could turn somebody away that maybe is quite doable.
I would just say that anybody who does want to reach out to us about that can feel free to contact me at andrarchy@steemit.com. But in the cases, what I'm probably going to try to do is link them up with the appropriate community member who might be interested in or willing to assist that person, as opposed to taking it to the team. Sometimes there are things that only Steemit team members are capable of handling or able to handle, in which case we'll do that case-by-case analysis.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how's the advertising program going?
Glad you asked. So the advertising program, but what we really discovered in the last couple of weeks, and how we got to this discovery was, so in order to maximize, the revenue we can generate, you need people bidding for ad space. I mean, that's a pretty given concept at this point. And so integration was with Coinzilla. They are a ad network that specifically works with crypto projects. So we felt like that would make the most sense. And 10 different crypto ad networks. So we began working with them to integrate their code to get the header bidding going. And the process was just extremely clunky. The way built, from a React Redux system, the codes weren't, it was just 4 weeks of an engineer's time and other people to try to get them to integrate on Steemit.com. It was just a very tedious process. And so the whole while I'm thinking, we're just losing money every day. We get so much traffic, the Alexa chart above in the chat, but our traffic is still good. It's very consistent. Again, we're not doing anything to really promote our market, Steemit.com. It's all organic, mostly SEO. And AdSense, had pushed out. So, and then the direct sales are good, but they're just not there yet. Again, awareness is an issue. Maybe the market is still an issue, particularly for crypto projects. They're not able to spend big advertising dollars. So we are going to now try Freestar. They are basically a one-stop agency that is going to take over and manage the advertising program. Are in the crypto space. They have been doing CoinDesk.com. They've been managing all of their advertising for over 2 years. And to give you an idea of the difference that it can make, their ad revenue 400%. CoinDesk did. And so where we are at Steemit Inc., I am still very much focused on cutting costs and increasing revenue. Increase the revenue, I was going to have to hire another full-time ad ops person, maybe another engineer. And again, every day that goes by when we're not maximizing the advertising campaign, we're losing dollars. So month trial, they basically take a commission. There's no fee. There's not and I can save on some manpower. There's cost cutting. And then there's going to be, hopefully a good increase in ad revenue. And I was really impressed with their product. If you'll just go to CoinDesk.com, it's a very nice. They're all about user experience. We will acknowledge not safe for work. We have all of those built in so that it'll continue to be a very nice, tasteful advertising program. That was another thing. The bandwidth that it takes to manage, which I knew this was going to be the case. I remember before we even had layoffs, when we were talking about integrating ads. I mean, that's a whole separate company, and we're still not at the place where we can justify hiring people and basically to become a media company. So I felt like, especially after talking to the folks at CoinDesk, I know them, respect them, and when they mentioned, a 400% increase, so it's not something that we're going to be tied to. If we want to end it, we can at any point. We will still do our direct sales. So if at any given time, a big advertiser hits up Bird Inc. and says, I want to buy 100% of your inventory at this price, we can absolutely still do that. So we still maintain full control. But again, we just didn't have the bandwidth to optimize, all the reporting that goes in. Filtering when you do get served ads that aren't what you want on the site. There's so much back-end work that goes into this that, I really feel like this is going to make a drastic improvement in experience for the users as well as our revenue. So that should kick off, I'm hoping, in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's not just a matter of throw up an ad and you're off to the races. There's a lot to consider behind it. A couple things, excuse me. One is that quirk that people are running into on Steemit.com, where their page will load and the banner across the top actually overlays the title on their post. Any progress on fixing that?
That is definitely in the works. That is a bug that we're aware of and that we're working on. It's been prioritized. We are trying to fix that. And most likely, go ahead, Justin.
I was going to say it's in the queue. we have a lot of priorities and a lot of things, but it's in the queue, and it's higher up in the queue for sure.
Good. And Inertius brought up a good point here. He says, if authors had feedback about which historical articles have the best SEO, maybe authors could focus on those topics. Authors like to know which topics actually help the platform or helpful to a particular front end, even if there's no ad kickback. That's where the reward pool is for. That's what the reward pool is for. And that's a good point. If people can be a little bit more aware of what's getting the response, then they can write to those topics to some extent.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point that he made. And I hope too, and now that we've implemented advertising, that of value add for when communities are launched. So there will be some ad sharing at some point. There has to be. Do hope that with Freestar, we're going to have a much better dashboard with better metrics, and we will be able to hopefully glean those analytics to let people know this is what's really eyes right now. And the same with, how we decide to leverage featured posts. Again, we want to feature the posts that is the most valuable content for our users. So those, like Justin said, all of that is in the queue. We have a long list of priorities.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So it's coming. Nothing's going to happen overnight. Inertia said ad sharing by charging the reward pool might be a route. Virtuous cycle.
Yeah, that's a very interesting concept.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, so, and every day it's you just learn more and more. And like I said, I knew that was going to be the case. I knew this was going to be a much bigger beast. So hopefully, we can this thrive period. Hopefully the market is going to rebound. Maybe we do bring it back in-house and add some ad-ops folks. To make the most sense is let's let the experts see what they can do for us and go from there. But again, we will still continue to do our own direct sales. And I'm really hopeful that picks up. I think tapping into Freestar, they have way more access to server side. So we're going to get with bigger pockets that hopefully when they see their reports and see, wow, oh my gosh, the ads that ran on Steemit.com had this amazing click-through rate. What is Steemit.com? So hopefully will be rewarded with their ad placements on Steemit.com. That'll help increase our awareness, increase our ad sales, all of that. So I'm very hopeful. I think our cost cutting, like I said, continues to happen every day. Justin and the blockchain team have been just so critical in making drastic reductions in AWS bills. We still haven't seen what Mira is going to do for that. We have projections. Has been going on all in the right direction. We're really trying to promote projects, support people the best way we can. We did put out a press release yesterday in relation to our scaling solutions, because I really do believe we are doing things in that particular area from a scaling perspective that no other project is doing. And the fact of the matter is these other projects publicized are simply passing off their costs to developers or the users. So special case, and I'm hoping that we can, because we don't have the big marketing dollars to go out there and tell the whole world, but we can, if our community can help spread the word, if we can continue to put out communications, I really feel like things are going to turn around sooner than later.
Well, from what I've been able to see with these other projects, a lot of their activity is more exchanges and gaming, where this particular project, while people say, there's not a whole lot of people on Steem, at the same time, they're supporting more people doing more things than any of the other projects that I've seen.
That's exactly right. And the greater good out there, they need to understand this and know this. Again, the technology that we're putting out there is so advanced. We're leading the way, and know that as far as the community goes, we are still here to support the wonderful Steem community by providing these different tools. That's going to be a game changer. Communities, I'm very excited about that. We're to stay focused.
So excuse me, Hive has brought up a question there that I'm going to kind of paraphrase a little bit because I have heard other people bring it up, and it's been discussed on some of the shows here on the Ramble. Is the fact that as time goes on, the reward pool is projected to actually decrease, and yet we're going to increase the number of people. Are we going to reach the point where that reward pool is going to be, per person is going to be negligible, or is there a way of that reward pool scaling with the size of the platform?
Oh, that's a great question, great topic. One that Andrew and I were talking about this morning because Michael Vandenberg, Justin, the whole team has been talking about this. So Andrew, if you're still on this, I would love for you to touch base on the Hive's comment here. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. The best way to come at questions like these is to think about Steam as a game, the Steam token as the points of the game. And so the objective that we have as a community that is tasked with, our objective as a community is to make Steam a game that people want to play, token a game point that people want to compete to get. And so the reason why the inflation decreases over time. And so that impacts, I guess, the reward pool. And then, of course, if more people are joining over time, then there's less Steam available per person.
That's correct. That's the question.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So the reason for that is that we want to incentivize people to join early. The idea is it is going to get harder to earn Steam over time, which is why you should join now as opposed to later. You can't really have one without the other. Either you increase the amount of Steam over time and then there's an incentive to not join now, or you do the opposite and there's an advantage to being an early adopter. The other way to look at it is that, what do you care about? Do you care about the dollar value equivalent of the Steam? In which case, if the value of the Steam goes up, then it doesn't matter that the amount of Steam available has gone down, because in terms of dollar equivalent, you're actually doing better. So, our goal is to make Steam a very valuable token. Now, you can't do that if you print it unlimited or you increase the print rate, right? So the core objective is make Steam valuable, and that's the reason why these economic decisions were made. Obviously, we can always discuss that as a community, and actually economic discussions are gaining popularity now. NFTs will provide some interesting opportunities to experiment with different economic incentive mechanisms. It's just good to bear in mind, like, primary objective is we want the Steam to be valuable, and that's and so in order to we have to make sure that there isn't an unlimited supply of that.
So I've noticed a few people making some comments here about the SMTs. So as the supply of Steam drops, the SMTs, of course, can come out in varying supplies. Is that what people would be ending up vying for in the future as the platform scales up?
Can you rephrase the question on that?
Okay, so if we've got SMTs coming out that are based on the value of Steam, and an SMT could come out in however quantity, let's say an SMT comes out and it's going to be a million tokens. Will the value of that token then become something that the future members of the platform be able to vie for when there's not as much Steam around?
Ooh, that's kind of a tough question. Well, SMTs will be tied to the value of Steam. One thing that I wanted to touch on the previous question in relation to the rewards pool and more people using the rewards pool is, in theory, if there's more users, there's probably going to be a higher market cap and more value. So that part scales most likely with the number of users, in theory.
So Inertia's made the comment, but an SMT is traded against less and less Steam. But if that SMT is creating value, is earning its own value, does that not extend the value of Steam? Like not
So here's the other
Steam
thing.
directly,
If there's
but
less and less Steam,
it makes.
then-
Hold on a minute. Not Steam
Okay.
directly, but it makes a value available for people to strive for. It doesn't necessarily going to be Steam, but it could be the SMT that has earned its own value. Does that make sense?
But SMTs still would be traded against the value of Steam, even if there's less Steam.
Okay. What's Up is asked, in the future, do you see the content creators getting rewarded SMTs versus Steam? That's my question. When people are talking about there's going to be less Steam available and it's like there'd be less reason to join the platform, I'm looking at it like, okay, well, what will give them a reason to join the platform? And you're right, What's Up, if they can be getting value from SMTs rather than Steam, then there's still a reason for them to join the platform. That's my thinking. I want to know if it's actually legitimate thinking.
We think that Steam will continue to be part of the rewards process for the foreseeable future, and we believe that changes that are going into place, including SMTs, will increase the value of Steam. I'm not talking about price. We don't talk about price, but we talk about value. And so Steam, we do anticipate it being the gold standard of the Steam ecosystem. And so people will be coming for both. They'll be coming because they'll be able to earn Steam, which will be very valuable. It's already valuable, but of course it can always be more valuable. And they will also have opportunities to earn these other tokens. But because Steam will be the base currency system, and because it will be, the most established, the kind of Bitcoin of the Steam ecosystem, we believe that Steam will continue to play a vital role in the ecosystem, with maybe in the distant future of Steam migrating to more of a gas-like role within the ecosystem. But even then, I was just talking to Vandenberg about this, and now we're getting really, really far into the future, which is a very dangerous place to get. But we still think even at that time, it will make sense to have Steam distributed for content creation, because that's how you get the token into the most hands. Yes, the amount will go down, but I think focusing on the numerical amount of Steam is total misdirection. That doesn't make sense. What matters is the value of that Steam. The arbitrary number of Steam that is being created and distributed is irrelevant. The value of that Steam and who's receiving it, whether they're great content creators, whether they're great investors, whether they've invested a ton into the platform, that's what matters.
I think actually you hit a good analogy there, Andrarchy, when you mentioned about Bitcoin, in that Bitcoin came along first, and everybody looks to Bitcoin as the gold standard, which is what we want to do with Steam. And people are trying to wrap their heads around how are the SMTs going to relate to Steam. So we can now kind of point and say, well, all these other coins like Steam have value that originally came from Bitcoin. It's grown out from there. And that's basically what the SMTs are going to do.
And ICOs are a good single example of a way to wrap your head around this, because we do very much believe that SMTs will draw capital into the Steam ecosystem, and a lot of that will pool inside the Steam token itself. Because imagine somebody ICOs 1 million of their SMT, and the ICO sells out for $1 million, $1 million worth of Steam, right? Buy that SMT, we'll have to take $1 million US, buy up $1 million worth of Steam, at SMT. And so, if you've got lots of projects doing stuff like that, going in and out of different tokens and communities, you could start to see how outside capital can pool inside Steem.
Yeah, I can kind of see, using that analogy of yours, I can kind of see that down the line, we're going to look at the various other tokens, even though they're based on Steem, and just see them as standalones, and Steem is something there in the background, and we're not even going to really worry about it too much because the value's there, and it's pumping up the value on these other items as well. It's all going to be part of the big ecosystem.
Yeah. And it's super complicated, and that might be a good thing to talk to Vandenberg at one point, because the key is there's no easy way to just make a currency valuable, right? You got to provide really valuable tools to projects and companies and so that they can draw in that investment capital. You can't just say, hey, we're going to charge for this, or, because then capital runs away. So the primary goal is let's give developers a want to build really great applications with a really powerful cryptocurrency built into it. And how can we make Steem a really vital component of that crypto economic system? And then if we can do that, then that's how you get capital to say, hey, I don't want to be in these stupid US dollars anymore. Steem stuff, because that's going to be how I get access to all these great SMTs.
Yeah. I think what's fueling the conversation right now about, the Steem reward pool is going to drop and the numbers are going up and it's going to make it less viable, is we're not thinking along the lines of the fact that a lot of these posts in the future that are going up, especially with things like SMTs coming along and what the Steem engine is doing, we're going to be receiving other crypto value. So the value is still going to be there in all of it. So it's not a decreasing pool. It's actually a growing pool. It's just not going to all be named Steem.
Yeah, I would just discourage people from thinking in terms of, the amount of Steem is decreasing. First of all, I would encourage people to think about how they can create great content, how they could build great businesses, and how they could lead amazing lives, building great projects. Worrying about, the amount of Steem that's being printed going down really makes no sense, especially because what matters is the value of that Steem. Making sure that Steem is valuable is sound crypto economic policy. But the other part is using it to build great projects, using it to fuel amazing content. And really, at this point, that content has to be couched inside larger projects that are delivering tons and tons of value. We really need to have a nuanced understanding of how this stuff works. If you're going to get wrapped up in crypto economic discussions, I mean, frankly, I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend focusing on building your business. And if you're a content creator, you need to think about your content as your business. And if Steem should really only be part of how you earn money through your content. You should be thinking of yourself as a brand. You should be thinking of yourself as a business. Maybe you're a marketer. Maybe you're selling a book. But if you're thinking is going to be you're creating blogs on Steemit.com is going to be how you're going to retire, not everybody can do that. Right? If everybody thinks that they're going to make all this Steem to retire on, then then that Steem isn't going to be worth much. Especially if all you're doing is posting blogs. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people create a lot of great content, but how valuable is that content is the question. And the market tells us. We have to listen to what the market says as far as how valuable everything we're doing actually is.
Well, you've got some good points there, Andarchy, but the fact is that if we want to create people that are on the platform right now, if we want to get them loyal to the platform and talking it up, then even the ones who can't really see the big picture like you can see, they've got to have at least enough understanding to have the confidence to be able to say, this is the place to be and this is what you need to be doing, and don't worry about that other stuff. It's noise. But they won't be able to say that until they've got at least the basics that they're getting the picture with. And that's what these discussions are about, is to try to give people some of those basics.
And that is an absolutely fabulous point. And, I don't want to derail the conversation, take over the conversation anymore. Just to say that I totally agree. I think that there are a number of initiatives already in place that are trying to target that. I have a number of initiatives that I'm trying to spearhead myself. If Steemit Inc. can help incentivize content like that, or reward those, make sure that those users do get rewarded, I'm absolutely working for that, and open to collaborating with people on that. And there's also been some discussion out there about economic changes. Those changes aren't about increasing the reward pool, but there are, in fact, so maybe, I think your point is that there is valuable insight in this discussion, in that there are improvements that can be made to the economics of Steam to better support content creators on that. And I hope that conversation continues going forward and leads in a productive direction.
Actually, the conversation was how they can understand what's going on so that they get a picture of it. People get more comfortable with what they understand. And Inertia has asked the question, got it. So what is the vision? Did you have that directed towards anyone in particular, Inertia? Oh, okay. So I want to open things up a little bit. There's witnesses in the room that have been sitting here very patiently. I'd like to hear from some of those witnesses, but first I want to know if any of the witnesses have any questions or concerns they'd like to raise with the people from Steemit Inc. And hop on voice. This is a radio show. If you can't hop on voice, type it up. I heard a click.
Being said here today.
And welcome back, fellow Canuck. Introduce yourself.
I'm Clive. If you don't know me, it's probably a good thing.
You've been absent for a while, but you are back to your witness, as I understand.
Yeah, I basically had a good old-fashioned crash and burn there for a while, what ended up happening. And now I'm back to coding, working full-time for Steam developing, so third party. I don't work for Steemit Inc. at all, but I do work for them in a sense, because I'm trying to build the ecosystem that they started.
Okay, so I've got a question here from Hive. Says, if I'm a business and have an interest in using the Steam chain for parts of my business, where do I go to find out about the services Steam has to offer? Eli, I think that you might want to jump in on that one.
Yeah, sorry, I was reading through all these comments. So the Hive was asking for where can developers get support for
business. If I wouldn't have a developer, so if I wanted to make use of the Steam chain and I'm just a business, where would I direct that business to? Is there a steaming.com for businesses or something?
Yeah, there are several resources. Steam Projects is one. There's also, if you go to steemit.com, there is a link to steam.io. I'll put that in here. But then
Steam,
I think
Steam.com, which does need some updates, but Steam.com is probably the resource that we're talking about here, I think, if I understand the question correctly.
Yeah, there is. Thank you, Justin. There is a section in there for entrepreneurs, businesses to get support at steam.com. Out to the great community. There's hopefully coming soon the Steam Business Alliance. I think that's going to be one of their goals, is to help businesses who want to get their projects on as the Steam Foundation. I'm hoping big things come out of that to again, the whole idea is to onboard new businesses, new projects to just complement the ecosystem.
And the Steam Business Alliance would probably do some mentoring with that.
I hope so. Andrew, I think he had to jump off. He's been more involved with their core, what their goals and objectives are, but I know it is to support businesses that have a real business plan, projects that good ROI to the ecosystem. So, there, Inertia posted something. Thank you, Inertia. Again, that's kind of the bigger picture, is there are so many great projects here that we support to further, again, onboard new users, new businesses.
So Jack Miller has asked, was mentioned by Ned in one public conversation that there was talk with Bittrex about putting Steam on the USDT market. Is there any updates on that?
I have not heard anything about that. So I can definitely ask Ned and see if there is any. To my knowledge, I have not heard anything mentioned about any of this.
Please no.
Yes. Oh,
Please,
God.
please no.
I don't think I heard mention of that either, even like in the past. So if there was something, it may have been something directly from Bittrex about it. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, it's hard to say. For those that are looking for a direct fiat to Steam, the Freedom X Exchange does have that available through their work with Netcoins.
Yeah, it's a pretty good looking project actually. I checked it out a few days ago.
Yeah. So the Hive has also asked, does Steam Inc. have any thoughts on providing front-end templates for business to begin? That's for creating a new front end?
That's an interesting topic, because I think that's thinking kind of in small terms. That's thinking in terms of if I'm a business and I want to do something on Steam, then I want to clone Steemit.com and make another front end that's similar to like Steemit or Busy or these other products that we already have. Where I think there's probably going to be more interest in other types of decentralized applications like Steam Monsters or Drug Wars or things like that are not necessarily blogging platforms. So providing a template for a completely unique idea is probably not feasible. If somebody wanted a template to clone a blogging platform, by all means, all our software is open source, and they can certainly do that already today.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maddie Airy has said she would like to see a new and better homepage for Steemit.com. Anybody?
Yes. So, that again is definitely in our list of priorities. Are some UI UX visible enhancements, improvements to Steemit.com. Again, some of those things we're really attacking the low-hanging fruit first, and then we're going to focus on communities. So again, it's all looking at bandwidth. What is going to give us the biggest rate of return? Is it going to be search and editor tools over a beautifully just gorgeous homepage? What are those things that are going to make the most stickiness to the site? So we continue to, review the priority list, but visual enhancements, improvements to the overall look and feel from, a marketing background. And I like things to look as best as they possibly can. So yes.
I think go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to raise the point that we are being much more proactive with respect to supporting community contributions. We released a number of posts out detailing the ones we'd had approved, and this is an ongoing effort. We're really, really eager to get contributions from the community and to approve and merge those PRs, and we're going to continue to make that clear and develop a system that enables developers to know that if they submit a PR, what they can do to maximize the odds that it's merged. And so if you as the content creator have ideas for how you can make Steemit.com better, actually you can encourage community developers to submit code that makes those changes. And if all we have to do is merge that code, then we can all work together to make Steemit.com much better very fast. Otherwise, we're going to have to do that priority. We're going to have to prioritize everything we're working on. But the more that community developers do, then that's best of both worlds. It enables us to focus on what we need to focus on and still make Steemit.com better.
That makes sense. Jack Miller's commented, and this is further to his Bittrex question. It was based around a Twitter poll where Steemiums literally bombarded that poll. Bittrex Bill, I think Ned called him, and that was that this was discussed just to fill in the gaps. So that might ring a bell with you there somewhere.
No, it doesn't. I wonder, when was that?
How long ago was that, Jack? Jack, you have voice capability. What are you doing typing?
He's being shy.
That'd be different. By the way, I heard the sirens in the background when Andrake was talking. I hope they weren't coming for him.
That's funny. That's been said before. Might have to check in on his background. No. Yeah, if that was in discussions, it's certainly not on any. It's not on any priority list. None of us here have even heard of it, so I think we can just move on from that.
Jack said it's around the same time as the Foundation server started. So that would be back the end of the year, the beginning of of this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about this. I'll ask Ned. I'm curious as hell, so I'll find out and report back.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. And I have seen some conversation around the platform about getting Steem on Coinbase. Is there any movement in that direction?
Say that again. You cut out at the very end.
About getting it on Coinbase.
We are always trying. David does a great job with exchange relations. A lot of those, particularly them, require a very large listing fee. So, yeah, I mean, it's a constant struggle for us just because we can't now just throw out to get listed. I will say with advertising, we have been able to at least more around what if we give you some ad space for a listing fee. So we're always trying to be creative. The more listings we could be on, the better. We get that. And it's a daily, David works on that all day, every day.
So Clyde says, where do we send the horde to get Coinbase on board? I don't think they're running a competition like Netcoins.
It's a good question. I know they did have a kind of an impromptu Twitter kind of competition a while back, where they wanted everyone to comment about what they thought the next token they should add was, and I saw a lot of support there for Steem, quite a lot actually. So I think the real answer is we've never not been trying to get on Coinbase, as well as other exchanges too. Like that's been constantly a focus over time. It's just sometimes there's other challenges involved, like really high listing fees, for example, is one of them.
Yeah.
I don't think that's even been an option with Coinbase. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think that's been proposed even yet. So that hasn't been on the table.
All things in time, apparently. Clyde says we could get the Winklevoss on board if we had a front end that was Facebookish. Yeah, let's not. On the Facebookish, that is.
Well, I would just play with their hatred of Facebook and get them on board with, because they fucking hate Facebook. So if we had something that could compete with Facebook directly, they might actually get their, I guess for lack of a better term, their dicks hard for it.
Roland, are you present? I saw you drop a link in the channel, and it seemed to me that it might have something to do with Steamfest. What was the link about? Come on, voice if you can.
We're going to Thailand.
You should be able to come on voice activated, Roland, as I've given you guest on air. He's trying to come on. Can but try. So while Roland is working on trying to get his voice going, has the other witnesses got anything that they're doing that they want to share and let us all know about?
I'm about, I'd say 95% done my Steamroller investment / dice. So that'll be sweet once that finally launches. It is running right now. People can come and check it out. It'll basically, it allows you to invest your Steam with up to 50 times leverage into the bankroll. And like up to, I don't know, people are getting 10, 15 bets a second compared to the other like Magic Dice and that crap. And there's no token bullshit. I don't believe in that. So come, you invest Steam, you get Steam. Yeah, Inertia, you can take your Steam, like deposit it, put it into your bank, like put it into the site's bankroll itself, and then set your investment level. A gambler loses, you essentially get whatever percentage of the bankroll you own of profit or losses.
Yeah.
No, it's not my bank, it's the site's bank.
Yeah, Nerdle, I was going to ask if Clive was going to change his name to Zertle, or whatever that one was.
I must have missed something.
Oh, somebody that started a bank with high interest and then disappeared with a whole bunch of Steam after he said his account had been hacked. There, Roland's on.
Oh.
Yes, it worked. Sorry, I was in the wrong. I'm not so often in Discord. I was in the wrong chat room. Hey. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm also sitting here with I'm not talking. I'm sitting here with my 2 kids. My girlfriend just literally ran out because she's having her weekly tennis session. So it's a bit messy here. En then just... Papa! Ja, Viggo, ik ben heel even op radio. Wil je nog even een rondje rijden met je auto?
Maar even hier onder de donker.
Nou, oké, ga jij onder de tafel. That's my son, VIGGO. He's also coming to Bangkok. Yes, guys. Bangkok it is. Steamfest 4. 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, it all started in Amsterdam. Then we went to Lisbon for the second iteration. And last year, of course, to Krakow. But this year, the idea really was to go to Asia all along. Every year, Steamfest has seen about 15% of the attendees coming all the way from Asia. And I think it's very honest to now return the favor and take a long hike for some of us. But for some, it will be just a short trip, or many actually, from the Asian community. And go to Bangkok. So 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 November, Bangkok it is. I was in Bangkok February and March with the family. Gal wants to go to the Ladyboys. That's okay. That's happening. Liz, no one so. I think she has many tips on where to go. Anyhow, I was in Bangkok twice this year. I've been to Thailand 2 times before. Bangkok is a crazy megapolis city jungle. And I think we're going to have a great time. Yeah. Okay.
They said their own.
It's hectic. It's kids nappy time or bedtime actually, but yeah.
And
so
they're determined they're not doing it. So they're keeping themselves awake while they're keeping you busy. So Krim says it's a long trip no matter what for her, so she's just going to start flapping her arms right now. And Eli asks, where is the Rockin' Cradle powered by Steam?
So, well, it's actually... well, Vina, my daughter, she literally this week outgrew her baby cradle. So now we have got a big cradle, and unfortunately the Bluetooth machine is not able to rock that one. But the guy you're hearing now is my other kid, and he's running around on the...
and has no lungs at all. So Bangkok it is, and that's in November, early November.
Yes, steamfest.com or my Steam blog has the initial announcement. I invite you all to subscribe to the newsletter and maybe follow me on Steam. And of course, make some plans. We picked one hotel, and it has a very lax cancellation policy if you book through the Asian booking website Agoda. Links are on the website. You can just reserve a room right now and basically cancel it if somehow you can't make it until 1 week in advance without having to pay anything. I just told Gandalf on a private chat, I said, well, you can now also just reserve a room, and then if you find a better price, just cancel the other one. Just look when you book with the one which has a free cancellation. But that's just a little hacky tip from me. Yeah, I will now put the kids to bed, and then I will stay tuned. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for being here, Roland. Glad you brought that news to us. Okay.
It's exciting. I've been wondering where Steamfest was going to land this year, and now we know.
Yes, we do. Some year it might make it to North America when we're all rich and famous. So we've had a few other witnesses have dropped in as well. I see Jeff has joined us. We haven't seen Jeff for a while. Jeff, what are you and Krim up to? Because I know Krim usually can't talk on these things because she's in the office. He can't talk either for the moment. Need about 15 minutes. Fair enough. Dracos, what have you been up to? You witnesses are just way too shy for guys that you know might be influencing a vote or two here. Dracos is playing shy too. Or he's just listening. Well, yeah, I do know you aren't shy once we get you going, Jeff. Well, Alex, how about you? Don't ever say, guys, that you haven't had an opportunity to interact with the community and let us know what you're doing. Alex might be fake news now, too. Zephora says, saying it now, be super careful and aware in Bangkok. Pickpocketers are sky and highly skilled, and maids go through your things and steal money and valuables. She's learned that the hard way. Draco says he's not doing much on his end, maintaining servers and writing some tools. And Gandalf, we know we're not going to get him on voice, but he could give us a little update in text. Thanks for being here, Andrarchy. No problem with checking out. Alex, you got anything going on? You can come on voice. We prefer you come on voice. Okay, I've given the witnesses opportunity. Now the community. Questions, comments, concerns? Now's the time to bring them up. The witnesses are leaving the floor open for you. Oh, everybody's happy. Gotta love this. I hear Eli.
We must have done a good job on our updates. No one has any complaints or comments?
It's really pretty. Inertia's asked, any witnesses doing code reviews? It's really kind of cool when I take a look at where the tone was a year ago to where it is now. And it's night and day.
It really is. I had my 1-year anniversary last week, and when thinking about months, I remember when I first started and got really involved in reading I was just constantly reading and couldn't believe how negative and scary it was to be here. But yeah, I would say now it's so enjoyable, and I've met so many great people that I think we've turned it around. So it's been a pleasant shift, if you will. Some people out there that have their comments, but
Well,
Bernie Sanders had something positive to say the other week.
there's going to be an element of negativity no matter what. Where you get people together, there will always be negative news. But you kind of take a look at the whole big picture. Dracos has made the comment that he's particularly glad with scalability fixing by Steemit. He wasn't happy 2 years ago. It took a while to fix things. Krim has said, I've some slated for this weekend between packing. I saw SPS in the Git. Otherwise, we do a lot of community websites, script and bot help creation, hosting day to day. And yes, Krim does a lot of day to day on that we actually see, and I'm sure Jeff does as well. I do a few outreach things in terms of radio and direct peer-to-peer STEAM education, and otherwise just shoot me a DM. She's making Shadows happy. Are you doing code review too, Krim? And Eli, I got to give you some credit for some of the change in the tone, because you have spearheaded making sure that Steemit is communicating with the community. And I think that's been made a huge difference to a lot of us.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I couldn't have the great things to communicate if it wasn't for the great work that the team is doing. I mean, to take those AWS bills, I mean, these guys did not lose sight of, what the focus was, and to get it from one was 120,000 in December, and now we're looking at 40,000.
Wow.
That's incredible.
72%. So since December, we've reduced our infrastructure costs by 72%, and we still have some to go.
That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we need more marketing. We need more public relations. I'm certainly not going to deny that fact. I wish we had a couple million to throw towards that, but we have things to work on to improve the site. So I think before do those types of things to reach more mainstream, we have some fixes to do to improve the stickiness, improve the user retention, and those are all on our immediate to-do list.
Just a question in passing: have you taken a look at some of the features that Medium is using on their site?
It's been a while since I've really fully paid attention to that. Are there any particular that stand out to you?
Yeah, there is. What I've really come to love is the fact that when I'm reading through a post on Medium, I can take a section and highlight it, and it marks not only that I've highlighted it, but that other people have highlighted it. And one of the things from an author standpoint that is really cool on that is that the author then gets an email that says, these people highlighted these sections in your post, which as an author tells me what resonates with the reader.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, their site is it's beautiful. It's the experience there is hard to beat. But yeah, that's a very cool feature. I wasn't aware of that.
When I first saw it, I was kind of like, yeah, so what? And as I've used it and seen what goes with it, the other thing that people can do when they're doing that highlighting is they can highlight it, and then they can choose to either write a comment based on that highlight, which is then quoted in the comment, or they can send the person a private message based on that highlight. And it can all be done at that one spot.
Yeah, that's very cool. I'm looking at it right now. I need to come here more often, but so much to do, so little time.
I know what you mean. I cross post some of the material that I put up on Steam goes over onto Medium, which is how I've become familiar with what's going on over there. Now, I will tell you, people can complain about engagement and commenting here on the Steam platform. I see more commenting happening here on the Steam platform than I do on Medium.
That is true. That's a very interesting behavior that I've yet to understand. Other than it's just, we're an interesting. But for example, the bottom banner ad. So when you go into a post at the very bottom of the comments, that bottom banner ad, I think David may have talked about this last time. It gets just as many impressions as the top. People read comments. They read every single comment. So I think that's just an interesting fact that you bring up. And we can prove that by this ad program on the demand for that bottom banner ad.
Yeah, it's rare for me to see, and I read a fair range on both platforms, and it's rare for me to see a post that is getting engagement. And if they do get comments, there's a comment and that's it. There might be a reply from the author, but there's no follow-up comments from other people like it happens here.
To me, sometimes the comments are more exciting than the actual content itself.
I agree. I don't know how many times I've read the comments and learned more than I did out of the actual post itself. So they definitely have their value. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Clyde.
So our community does have good engagement with each other for the most part. We're a relatively friendly group, which is nice. Most of the internet isn't that friendly.
This is true. When you take a look over at, is it YouTube? Some of the comments over there are just brutal, and not to mention some of the exchanges that go on Facebook.
Oh, toxic. Absolutely toxic.
Yeah. And Dreams Team is up and leaving us. She has to do this silly thing called going to work. Okay, so it looks as though since people are so happy, we won't worry about going a full 2 hours today. And I should give you the date for the next one, which of course will be in June, because of course we do this monthly. So we'll be looking at the 12th of June for the next one. And does anybody have any closing comments they'd like to make? Feel free. Opportunity to grab the mic. I see Jeff is unmuted there. Jeff, you got something to tell us? He's unmuted, but is he going to speak? Nope, he muted back up. All right then. Well, I think we've had a great 90 minutes here. And thanks to all the witnesses who came there today. Kitty Girls just dropped the list into the channel. And thanks also to all of those who came from Steam It Inc. I hope everybody's had an opportunity to learn something today and get questions answered that they may have. And till the next time, it's all about community. We'll see you then.